Money Arata. Time is money. You have 24 hours in a day, and when you sacrifice 8 hours out of your day to work in exchange for money, you're basically exchanging your time for money. You work hard to earn money and save up for the future. However, whenever the central bank decides to print more money and inflation increases, the money you work hard to save suffers a devaluation. Inflation reduces your purchasing power because of the unilateral will of the government. Take note of this fact. We live in a time when the governments have total control over money. Now you might ask, how does the government control money? Throughout central banks and monetary policy. And now we're talking about government in a very broad sense. It doesn't matter whether the central bank is independent or not. And since time is money and the government controls money, we can also say that the government controls your time. Inflation is the reason you're living without time or money. To make things clearer, just think about these practical examples here that I'm going to share with you, which are a result of inflation. In a first example, you have spent a long time planning on saving up to $500,000 to buy a house, the house of your dreams. Because of inflation, your dream is now further away. You're going to need more money because the price of that house now has gone up. $500,000 is no longer enough. Now you're going to need $1 million. You need more money. For the second example, imagine that you have saved responsibly. Let's use very easy numbers here. Imagine that you calculated how much you need to reach financial freedom. And the numbers came up to you that you will need $100,000 to cover for your expenses in 1 year. And if you have been able to save, for example, $1 million throughout your entire life, this means that you now can spend the next 10 years of your life without having to work. However, when inflation makes your money worth less, you're no longer going to spend just $100,000 a year. You're going to have to spend $200,000 a year. And then that $1 million that you had saved up that would be covering you 10 years of expenses now will only pay 5 years of expenses. So now you're going to need to work more to just be at ease in the future. You will need more time. That's why I repeat, inflation is the reason why you're living without time or money. And if you agree with the quote that time is money, just think about this. What happens in a time when inflation melts your money's purchasing power? This means that you will need more money to pay up for your bills and to make your dreams come true. And to earn more money, you're going to have to spend more time working. Inflation is a way of having your money and your time stolen. So we can say this is a type of slavery. Now, slavery is a very strong word. What is slavery? It is a repulsive, criminal, and despicable way of stealing someone's time and freedom. Physical slavery is visible. It would cause immediate outrage if someone would ever try to put us inside of cages, keep us in chains. Unfortunately, here we're talking about a more dangerous way of slavery. It is economic slavery. And it is more dangerous to slave someone because it is more subtle. It happens every single day, right under our noses. It leaves us with no time and no money. This is not financial advice. Please read the full disclaimer before proceeding. You exchange your time for money. And when the government devalues your money, it is like your time was stolen from you. The need to earn money causes parents to stay away from their children. It forces us to coexist with unpleasant co-workers or even worse bosses. Anyway, the need to earn money, to pay our bills, it has a cost, which is our time. And what do you think about that? Well, some people may say that this need to earn money makes people do things that they don't want just so that they're able to pay their bills. However, from another side, from another point of view, some people may say that these are choices that people make. They're free in order to achieve their goals and overcome their difficulties of daily life. And it doesn't matter whether you think that people spend time to earn money because they're forced to do so or whether it is a choice. There's something that everyone agrees on, and because it is an objective and undeniable fact. Every time that the central bank uses inflationary monetary policies, it is reducing the value of the money that you saved. And even if you say that you don't have any money right now that you have saved, you're still affected by all of that because the price of your dreams becomes more expensive. Inflation is planned. And there is even a goal, an inflation target, an official target. This is when the government intrudes upon the economy using monetary policies to increase inflation on purpose and devalue the currency. Now, what is the issue with that? It is like a theft on the purchasing power that you have gathered. The state controlling money is just a way of stealing your savings and imprisoning you in work. Money originated as a tool created by individuals to facilitate doing business with other individuals, so we could say that the origin of money came from a private initiative. However, it has been a long time since the government took possession of this tool, first unifying the different decentralized currencies with backing on different precious metals, and then removing later any kind of backing so people could be trading their money for actual metals, and then they could have total freedom of printing money whenever they please. Every politician wants to become popular and stay in power, whether himself or herself or his or her political party. And to do that, the government needs to know that they're working with public works, renovations, creating public services of different kinds, providing all types of good services. Now, the problem with this welfare state is that all of that costs money. And basically, there are two ways the government can obtain more resources: by raising taxes or just printing more money. And since raising taxes is a very fast way to become unpopular, what the politicians do to obtain more resources is simply by printing more money. And they can do that because they abandoned the gold standard in the 1970s. Right now, there is no real treasure that can be used as backing. And in this way, governors can legally print as much money as they need. There are several sophisticated mechanisms that they use with complicated names, but at the very end, simply putting, it is just like the government is printing money by doing nothing. This money will not end in your pocket, obviously. On the contrary, it takes away the value of your money that you already have in your pocket. Now, the reason for that is simple. The more money there is in circulation in a country, the less valued it will be. Inflation ends up taking away the value of the currency. We have already explained devaluation in technical details in episode number 9 of the Money Arata series, but you can understand devaluation intuitively, thanks to the law of supply and demand. The more supply there is in a market, the less valued something is. A less valued currency means money with less purchasing power. And this is why if you had 10,000 in your bank account last year, that 10,000 will be worth much less now. And what you could buy with 10,000 in the past year is not the same as you can afford this year. And this is why you live with no time and no money. The money that you saved is worth less and less over time, and that is why you need to work more and more. Just remember the horrible idea of slavery. Slavery is a system where someone is using power and is taking someone else's work without giving anything in exchange. And nowadays, slavery is financial. Money without any backing, that is controlled by a central authority, is fake money. The politicians can devalue your money, and this is intentionally causing inflation, just because the state-owned currency is fake money. Money is a system of credit and clearing. If I sell you a product, now I have a credit pending from you and you have to compensate or pay that amount to me. These credits and compensations are registered through a symbol, the currency. In the old days, this currency had its own value, but not anymore. With the origin of money, precious metals were used as currency because the metals themselves had value. In that time, if a governor wanted to artificially devalue a gold or a silver coin, the owner could just melt it and sell the metals at the price that the metals were worth. This was the gold backing. But nowadays, the only thing that gives value to state-owned money is the trust that people have in the government that is issuing that money. The problem is that this trust is not earned, it is forced. You use the currency of your country because there is a law that forces every single company and person to accept it. It doesn't matter whether there are better or stronger currencies, the law requires you to use the currency that the government wants you to use. This happens because of the legal tender idea. The government only has power over the currency that is official. And it is the only currency that they can print, they can manipulate, they can devalue. So the government has a biased interest in making you use that specific currency. Therefore, if being a slave to money was not bad enough, now get ready because it gets worse. We are slaves to fake money, money that is created artificially, using force. Not physical force, but the force of law. This force is only possible because state-owned money has a central authority, and the central authority has plenty of power to decide what to do with the currency, even if it means stealing the purchasing power of your savings. And the only way to free yourself from fake money is by using decentralized currencies, those without a central authority. Since the 1970s, it became clear that the government had excessive power to print money without backing. The majority of people were trying to find solutions to free themselves from that prison. They tested and discarded many ideas until the solution came up in 2008 by an article written by Satoshi Nakamoto. And this solution was to create a private, decentralized currency with public records, programmed scarcity, and transparent rules that anyone could learn and participate. With cryptography and a system called blockchain, this new currency called Bitcoin was able to work without a central authority that was setting the rules. Instead of that, the own users of the network were working together as a trustworthy authority by themselves, preventing the abuse of power by any single individual person. And not even the network that substitutes the central authority has the power to do whatever they want. The rules for issuing coins are mathematical. They're known by everybody. There will never be more than 21 million units, and the difficulty is adjusted according to the power of the network. Bitcoin emulates, with mathematics and technology, the same characteristics of precious metals, that they had a very important role in the beginning of money. It is a scarce good, and it becomes more scarce with time. It is portable, it is divisible, and it can be transferred from one person to another without needing anyone's authorization. This is why every year Bitcoin has been representing real money as a tool that is created by individuals to solve credits and clearing in business being done by individuals. Since it has a limited amount of currency and the rules are known by everybody, no single authority can devalue the currency unilaterally, stealing your savings purchasing power. This is why Bitcoin is a tool of freedom and wealth distribution. Bitcoin is a revolution to distribute wealth and freedom to everyone. With state-owned currencies, just a small group of people can benefit from wealth. The governors, the big entrepreneurs, people who are near the positions of power, people who already have a lot of money and they're able to invest to protect their net worth against inflation. You can do your own research about the Cantillon effect and you can learn more about that. Now, with every level step down that social ladder, money loses value. The little that remains goes to workers and small business owners. That is quickly devalued by inflation. And with Bitcoin, the situation between participants is more equal. While the state-owned currency makes you a slave of fake money, with Bitcoin, you're free to become the owner of real money. Using Bitcoin is a way of refusing to be financially enslaved by fake money that is manipulated by the central banks. So whenever you buy Bitcoin, you're participating in a sort of protest against the pyramid ladder that concentrates wealth on the top. You're fighting a system of inequality. You're protecting your net worth. You're strengthening a tool of freedom all at the same time. And at the end of the day, if you were completely stuck using your currency of your country, now you have the freedom of choosing your own money. Now, this doesn't mean that you should just go and withdraw all the money you have in the bank, your state-owned currency, and exchange it immediately for Bitcoin. Let's do it step by step. The first step is to be able to enjoy that freedom is knowledge. And you have just taken the first step by joining our conversation here. And now you have to dig deeper to start to free yourself from the slavery of fake money. The control of money by central banks is a way for those in power to steal the purchasing power of the savings that you have gathered by the sacrifice of your time, of your hard work. If you had no choice but to use the fake money that is printed magically and artificially, well, now you know you have a choice. You have another option. Bitcoin. So, if you want to free yourself from the slavery of fake money, You can learn more, you can study about Bitcoin, you can get to know about it, understand how it is a revolutionary tool that gives people back the control over their own property, of their own wealth. An excellent way to start the study is to do the Diamond Hands training by Arata Academy that teaches you everything you need to know about Bitcoin in an uncomplicated way. To watch a special lesson from the Diamond Hands course, you can now visit the link arata.se/Diamond Hands.